All right, guys, so I wanted to show you something cool. So I've got my data up here from the total cases of the U.S. Right, maybe I can add that into my thing to remind us. Okay, I've adjusted some things, I've got all this, but I wanted to show you something really cool that Desmos can do here. Okay, and so we've done all these scatter plots. We found that line of regression. Remember, that line of regression is like an estimate. Trying to figure out if our data is, how good it is. Okay, so something really cool here is that we can actually have Desmos plot a regression line using our information that we've had. Okay, now notice we labeled our X up here, it's labeled X1, our Y is labeled Y1. You might be able to change those, but don't. Okay, so the way we make it do a regression line is we go Y. Okay, and let's actually pull this up so we can see it. So we hit the Y, then we're going to choose this little guy right here. Okay, that kind of, I believe it's called a tilde, something like that. Okay, and then we are going to tell it to do, oh, we don't need Y, we need Y sub 1. Okay, so what we need here is, see this little, that A with the lower B right there? If we click that, then we're able to put in a lower one like that. Okay, and that's tying it clear back to this up here, this Y1 up here. Okay, so then I'm going to go M, and then I'll notice right there it's already given me some statistical information. Then I hit that little AB again. Okay, and I'm going to, oh, not yet, crap. I need to do X first, then I do that little AB, and then I'm going to do 1 again, right? Okay, because that's telling me to do this stuff. Then I'm going to do plus B. Okay, make sure it's not down there anymore. And I go plus B. Okay, now it gives me some statistical information. The R value is our correlational coefficient. Okay, which when we get to learn about that, that's going to be helpful to do. Okay, it also tells us what M is and what B is. Okay, so M was 710, B was negative 6,261. Okay. So looking at that, that's kind of cool to see. And then we can use that to estimate, right? When we estimated to May 1st, we want to be at about 37. Okay. So we can see that according to the U.S., according to this linear regression, that would be 20,033, which we know we're already above that, right? Pretty much, or getting really close to being above that. No, we are, because, oh, yeah, we have that other dot up there, don't we? Okay, so zoom out a little bit. So we can see a linear regression really doesn't give us the best idea, does it? Okay, but it is cool that it we can have Desmos actually do that for us. Okay, so we can do the same thing if we're doing it for exponential, right? So exponential is A times B, and then we need to do this up here. And we're going to have to delete this part. So then up there, we're going to do the X, then that little AB1. Okay. Now, this is my first time using this one, so I'm not sure, but look at that. Okay, that's a pretty cool, I don't know what log mode does. Interesting. I don't know what that is. Let's see what the question mark says. Log mode. Changes the strategy of the calculators to do that. Okay. Cool. How about that? So that's interesting. We can also do a logarithmic as well that can help us out with that. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that the calculator can do for us to help us out with getting those. And we can see that our y-intercept would be 3.2, and we're times by about 1.36. Okay, which is pretty interesting because we kind of guessed on one of ours, if you remember back, that B, we did about 1.3, didn't we, for Portugal? So that's pretty interesting. It'd be interesting to go back and check out those other states and see what they end up being. But I thought that was pretty cool that you have those. And I'm sure if you look up online, you can see what other kind of values that you can do. And I kind of like that log mode, so let's switch it back to that one. Okay. okay? I like that one a little better. So again, we can use that to then estimate, right? We go up to 37. Okay, so May 1st, right? That was 37 days from the day I'm making these videos. Okay, about 139,505. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how many total cases we actually do have in here. And you probably should have noticed that when we were dealing with, let me look at this, China, you probably noticed something different about their graph. Let's pull this up a little better. And this is a website where I stole the that original picture on the first of these. But if we look at this, notice that it's going up kind of exponentially here at first, but then it kind of evens out, doesn't it? Okay. So we're not going to get that exponential curve going on forever. Eventually, we're gonna even out for whatever reason. So, and again, could we use that? You know, if we put all this data in, we could use it to graph using Desmos and see maybe a linear is a better model to use because of how it curves. But just knowing how far up it's going to go before it curves, that's kind of interesting to see. So. We've got some cool websites if you're curious of looking at some of these and see how things are happening, provide some of the data. I really like this one because you can see it graphically, and you can see all, we can look at Italy specifically. You can zoom in on countries and kind of get a feel for how bad things are, and why it's important that we take steps to help deal with that, okay? So some pretty cool, interesting numbers. Also some interesting things to highlight over there is, people recovering. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom. But having all this data, okay, using this math, really helps us to know what kind of policies we need to do, okay? Here's another cool one on NPR websites. I like this one that kind of shows the 3 weeks out, and you can see Utah there. And we can kind of track it that way, or using kind of that visual aspect of it. So we'll provide these for you. But again, that idea that when do we use this math? Well, we're using it right here. People are using this information, this math, to help them understand, so they can come up with the best options for us to deal with. Okay, how do we deal with this? What are we doing? As we can see here, the U.S. with our graph, okay, kind of that one we just talked about, that, when are we going to level off here? What point are we going to level off? And my data didn't go as far in terms of days on my, where's my Desmos graph? On our Desmos graph, right? It wasn't, oops, I totally messed up my picture. There we go. Okay, it's not, we're not using the, we didn't go as far on the data, so that's why ours doesn't look the same. But are these measures here going to help us so that we'll even out and we'll not have to keep following this curve up, okay? So some cool ways that we can use math, and that math is used to help us kind of track and understand and make an idea of what we need to do in order to overcome this kind of stuff, okay? So you still have a little bit more of the project to deal with, but hopefully that was kind of interesting in seeing some of these things.